guys, this is Matt and you're watching TV Punch for Tuesday, November 17th, and today I'm going to be talking about The Flash Season 2, Episode 7, titled Guerrilla Warfare. I'm going to run through a couple quick hits and then talk about the major plot points of this episode. So with that said, if you haven't seen the episode yet, pause this, go watch it, come back, you'll be glad you did. As for quick hits, there was only one this week that I really wanted to mention quickly, and that is the Flash ring. There's a scene where they're looking at the old Reverse Flash suit and just kind of reminiscing about all the bad memories that it brought, and they're going to put it in storage, but not before Barry says, hang on to the ring, I'd like to see if I could figure out how to get the costume in there. So hopefully at some point we will get the Flash ring with the costume actually coming out. That would be awesome. So moving on to the major plot points of this episode, there was only a couple that I'm going to touch on, and there was a smaller one that I'll talk about at the end that's going to mean something bigger later. But the first one is Barry is regaining the use of his legs. So thankfully he's got super fast metabolism stuff happening in his body, and he heals quickly, right? We all know that. Well, we do see in this episode that he's slowly but surely healing from the broken back that Zoom gave him last week. He's walking on crutches. He's slowly jogging on the cosmic treadmill, but it's basically he's going through a lot of rehabilitation. But the thing is, his body is healing, but his mind and his psyche aren't. Zoom completely got in his head with the beating that he took, and that's what he's actually trying to overcome. So Henry, his dad, actually comes back in this episode to sort of give him a pep talk, get his spirits up again. And, you know, of course, his dad's a doctor as well, so he looks at his at Barry's x-rays. Caitlin's a doctor. She looks at the x-rays, and they both say, look, everything's fine. You've healed perfectly. But what we learn is it's his psyche, it's his emotional state that needs repairing more than anything. And Henry is able to help him kind of get over that hump, get him back in the suit, get him running again, because, again, his body was completely healed, but he really needed that push to be the Flash again. So the big plot point of this episode was Gorilla Grodd. So we finally get another episode with Grodd. We had one last season, and it was fantastic, and this one is just as good. So the first thing I'll say is Grodd looks great. So for a TV show on the CW network of all places, a giant telepathic gorilla looks awesome. They managed to really pull this off. I really like the way he wasn't. I like the way they portrayed him. He wasn't sort of crouched over, walking around on his knuckles like gorillas are wont to do. You know, he actually was sort of standing upright, and he looked big and beefy. He didn't look completely realistic, like a completely real gorilla and how they move and their motion and things like that. But it made sense for this character, and on this show, it was really, really good. I mean, obviously, you're going to get better effects in big-budget summer tentpole movies, but for a CW show, this really, really looked great. So in this episode, he's actually mind-controlling, essentially, scientists to steal some pharmaceutical drugs that increase intelligence. We see him steal a couple of these, and apparently he's stolen some others. And then he kidnaps Caitlin. He says he remembers Caitlin from the time that he was in the cage before the particle accelerator exploded. But he remembers Caitlin from that time and remembers how she was nice to him. So he kidnaps her, doesn't hurt her, but he wants her to use these drugs to make more gorillas like him. And that's the gist of the entire episode, is Grodd doing these things to get more intelligent gorillas because he's lonely. And he wants Caitlin to help him out. The Team Flash has to track her down and find her. And of course, Barry's confined to... He's not confined to a wheelchair, but again, his emotional state isn't right. He's just not ready to go into battle yet. So it's actually Earth 2 Wells in the Reverse Flash suit, posing as Earth 1 Wells. So he confronts Grodd in this getup because Grodd looks at Earth 1 Wells as a father figure, but he only does that enough to get close to him, to jab him with a lot of those same pharmaceutical drugs, which basically shocks his mind. So we've seen this in The Flash and other shows before. If you give them enough of something, then they'll pass out. It's like how they burnt out Tokamak in the Firestorm episode a few weeks back. Just give him an overdose, basically, and he'll pass out, which is exactly what happens. But they leave him there because they don't really know what to do with him until Earth 2 Wells again comes up with a plan to send him to Earth 2. And this is the really cool part about this episode. At this point, Barry's back on his feet. Henry's giving him the old pep talk, and he's back in the Flash suit running around town. Earth 2 Wells knows about this place on his Earth, on Earth 2 in Africa. It's like an animal refuge for special animals. And Their plan is to rig up a portal because there's 52 of them scattered around the city. Their plan is to take their speed cannon, their device that lets them control these portals, and they're actually going to push Grodd through because they found one that is close in location to this refuge on Earth 2. So there's a little bit of a fight between Flash and Grodd, but ultimately Flash is able to push Grodd through the portal, and we get an awesome scene at the end of the episode. We get a nice full-on shot of Gorilla City, Grodd looking down, and he just roars at it. So I think that's kind of foreshadowing what's to come. No, I actually don't think we're going to get any more Grodd this season. Grodd has to be expensive to make and to produce. So I don't think we'll get another full-on Grodd episode this season, but I think that's definitely foreshadowing because Gorilla City in the books is this huge. It's a huge deal. There's other gorillas like Grodd. Some of them are peaceful. Some of them aren't. Grodd tries to take over, or he does, he wants to take over the city so that he can then take over the world. Like I said, he's evil. They aren't all that way. But we don't get any of that in this episode, but we do just get a nice shot of Gorilla City, and that surely to goodness is going to set up something in Season 3. That this whole thing, Grodd in Gorilla City, and the Flash fighting Grodd and having to overcome things, this episode is the first one this season that has felt like last season, that has brought the fun but not overly campy stuff to the show like we got a lot of last season. This is probably my second favorite episode of the season after episode number 2, when we first really meet Jay Garrick, because that was pretty cool too. But this is the one that really felt like Season 1, which I loved so much. I really hope we get more of this. There wasn't really any setup for Legends of Tomorrow. Well, there was. Hold on one second, I'll talk about it. But this is just getting back to the Flash. And sure, Zoom is a looming threat, but he's not the main villain of this episode. That's not what this episode's about. It's just fun, Grodd, them dealing with this, and a lot of cool Easter eggs to go with it. So the last plot point that I'll talk about, and it's a smaller one to this episode, but it's larger for things to come, starting next week, starting in a couple weeks, in fact, is Cisco going on a date with Kendra Saunders, a.k.a. Hot Girl, although she's not Hot Girl yet. Their first attempt, it takes them 2 tries, but Cisco takes her to a showing of The Princess Bride, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. If you grew up in the 80s, you know The Princess Bride, and you love The Princess Bride. At least I'm sure. Who doesn't love The Princess Bride? But it was awesome that they were going to see that movie. But on their way there, Cisco accidentally vibes Kendra, and he sees a reverse shot of her, and this is the first time we see the big wings, the big hawk wings. He doesn't see her from the front, though, so he thinks that it's an angel, or he thinks that it's a big bird man or something. There's a great little bit of dialogue between Cisco and Caitlin about how bird men aren't real. Later, at the end of the episode, so when he vibes her, he runs off. He's totally freaked out. At the end of the episode, she gives him another chance. He accidentally vibes her again, and this time we see another big shot of the big wings, but Kendra turns around, and he sees her in full hawk mask and hawk girl gear, and he realizes that it's her. The cool thing about this is, one of the cool things is, he freaks out just for a minute, but then he kind of composes himself and continues on with the date. So at this point, Kendra doesn't know that she's hot girl. At least if she does, we don't know that she knows, if that makes any sense. So, but I think that she doesn't know about her abilities yet. I don't know, maybe she does. I don't want to say that. I don't know for sure. But Cisco sees that and he realizes it, but it's our very first shot of anything we see hot girl, and it was really well done. And it didn't, unlike some of the other Legends of Tomorrow setups that we've gotten in this season so far, this doesn't take over the episode. It's just a little bit. It's probably a total of about 5 to 7 minutes of the entire episode, if that much. But it gives us just enough to get ready for what's to come. And everything's going to go down in a couple weeks from now with the big Flash Arrow crossover. That's going to be on December the 8th, I believe. And they showed a preview for it, the preview for the Flash portion of it. We've got Hawkman, we've got Hawk Girl, we've got Team Arrow and Team Flash hanging out, and Vandal Savage is coming. It looks great. We definitely have enough of a setup, I think. And I like that I hope that we're moving away from that, because this episode shows that if you can get away from that and get back to the story, don't be overly campy about it, just have fun, give us some great Easter eggs. If they can do all that, then this show is going to be right back on track where it was. So that's it, guys. Not a whole lot of different things going on, just a few major things that were really fun and really awesome. But like I said, we've got that Flash Arrow crossover coming up in a couple weeks, and that looks like it may be the most epic thing we've seen from either show this season so far. I'm going to be covering that when it happens, so if you want to see those videos, be sure to subscribe by clicking the button below. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you can check us out at youtube.com/nerdpunch. You can also follow us on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook, all of those /nerdpunch. You can check out nerdpunch.com to see all the other cool stuff we're posting online, and it's also a great place to see our schedule of upcoming videos. We're still doing some really fun gameplay in the evening, streaming on Twitch, putting them on YouTube later, so be sure to check those out. We've got Arrow coming up tomorrow. Supergirl I'm still trying to get caught up on, but that's going to come soon. So lots of cool stuff to come see. So please drop by, give us a view. You'll be glad you did. And until next time, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. See ya.